Hello folks, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about why the S1 Mark II makes sense for Lumix to come out now, even over the S1R Mark II. And it's because the Nikon Z6 Mark III. Okay, so the Z6 Mark III is now kinda the pro consumer camera that it has to be beaten, right? It's the camera to beat now in that price range of between 2004 to 3000 mark of euros. I'm talking about, of course. Dollars, it's a little bit lower, so you know the count. And that's why I believe that the S1R Mark II should even come later in Q4 or Q3 or Q2 of 2025, because currently Lumix don't have any camera that can really compete with the Nikon or Nikon Z6 Mark III. We have the S5 Mark II X, which is a phenomenal camera, which I'm actually recording on now, but it has still that 4K 60 cropped. It doesn't have 4K 120, which for me is not a bummer, but I know that many people out there are asking for it. And it doesn't have internal RAW recordings. It doesn't have all the whistle and bezels that the Z6 Mark III has, right? So that's where I think the S1 Mark II might be that camera that will sit in between the the S5 II X or the S5 II and the eventually S1H Mark II, right? Like it makes completely sense. Like the S1 sits in between the S5 and the S1H. The S1 Mark II will be the perfect camera to sit in between there with maybe, who knows, same sensor, but then you have all of this whistle and bezels, 4K 60 uncropped, 4K 120 cropped, and then you have, some internal RAW capabilities, maybe one SD card and one CFX Type B card, like all of those capabilities that you need for a camera like this to compete with the Z6 Mark II. So what you don't have in the S5 Mark II X, you will get into the S1, and then eventually building the camera to an eventual S1H Mark II. So you kind of have two choices there. You have the consumer camera, which is the S1A, the S5 Mark II X. Then you have the pro consumer camera, which is the S1 Mark II, and then you will have the S1H Mark II, which is basically the pro level flagship video camera that is going to come out probably in Q4 of this year. But the S1II has to be there because you don't have any camera in that price range to compete against the Z6 Mark III at that level that the Z6 Mark III is. Because Sony is set to come out with the A7 V, which is going to compete there, and Canon is set to come out with the R6 Mark III, right? So Lumix need to do something like that. And about the specs, I believe that they should maybe push the megapixels to like maybe 30 megapixels. As we know, Sony has already a 30 megapixel sensor, which is the one on the A7 IV. To maybe borrow that, hopefully not, or Lumix to develop their own sensor and maybe to push it at 30 megapixels. And from there, you can build up, still keep like an open gate, which that will put you still in an advantage on the Z6 Mark III because it doesn't have any type of open gate. You put some internal RAW recording, limiting them to maybe 6K 30. You don't need to go to 60. It's still pretty good and amazing. Doesn't matter, but you still allow the open gate in the RAW recording, right? So that would be pretty amazing. Many people will not use it. Yeah, duh. But many people were requesting it, when the Blackmagic came out. Many people were like, yeah, the Lumix S5 Mark II don't have open gate RAW. This one has it. So give it and everyone will be happy, right? So that would be a really good way. 4K, 60, uncropped, oversampled, and you keep still the fun in the camera as we have in the S5 Mark II X. So we prevent overheating with that. Then 4K, 120 cropped. Even maybe a slight crop, like a 1.1 crop, is already better than the Nikon Z6, right? So that could be a really good way to go. And then 120 up to 240 with autofocus and everything, like everything how it has to be. And you know what I'm talking about, Lumix. Those slow motion in 1080p, we're still waiting for an update because we know it's possible because the S9 is capable to do it. So please release that firmware update where we receive even those beautiful things that the S9 can do in your pro consumer cameras. But yeah, so all of this for me are the way that the S1 Mark II will need to be, or anyway will be cool to have so that it can compete with the Z6 Mark III. But what are your point of views? This is what I think it will be good to receive. But do you think that the S1R might be a better choice compared to an S1II? Because you have to think about the pricing, because this camera has to sit between 2004 and 3000. So the S1R will go above that for sure, because that's a flagship photo camera. And in that price range, we only have the S5II and the S5IIX, which are even a little bit cheaper. So of course you give away some features to achieve that. So why not having a camera that sits in between that price range, right? But hey, share a comment down below on what are your thoughts on my thoughts. So thank you for supporting. Thank you for being here. Take good care of yourself, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Let's have a chat down below. Yeah.